Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the RuralBiz Training Agricultural Careers Information Session. I hope everyone can hear me. My name is Grant Fish, and I'm the manager of RuralBiz Training. So obviously today's session is around providing a whole range and expansive information through to everyone in regards to the pathways and the information into the agricultural sector. It's been at the forefront of a lot of media of late, so we need to make sure that a lot of information is getting out there to potential students and teachers in regards to the pathways through to agriculture. We've got some great speakers lined up for today. So I might move into the first speaker that we have, and that will be Hilary Beach, who's coming from Holmes and Sacekt.
Yep.
Hilary's there. Now, Holmes and Sacekt are a highly respected organisation that undertake consultancy within the agricultural industry and undertake benchmarking. Hilary's going to be giving some information in regards today and giving an overview of the salaries and conditions available within the agricultural sector. So hopefully there's plenty of information. Just wanted to ask that if you do have some questions you go through, there will be a chat box available down the bottom of the screen where you can send through questions, and we'll try and answer them at the end of the session. So as we move through, what we'll do is I'll get Hilary to start, and any questions you can just fire off and we'll keep collating those for you.
No worries. Thank you for having me, guys. Yeah, as was mentioned, I'm going to be talking to you about the getting into the agricultural workforce and looking at some salaries and the type of conditions you're going to be looking at when moving in and how to make the most of it coming out of school or uni or wherever you may be going into. So I just wanted to start off by showing you guys this graph. It just represents the salaries that farm managers get compared to the rest of the industry. So there is quite a wide variation in the reported salaries paid to managerial employees, and there's still quite an overlap in the jobs that they do. So to make the comparisons on farms to other industries, this is compared to the ABS employee earnings and surveys data, and as you can see, managers are quite high up, and there's often a perception that managers or people who work on farms don't have competitive salaries, and it's just a perception, as this graph shows, that there is quite competitive salaries out there, and that even the averages, which you can see in the lighter green column there, that's the average of all management positions. So even in that respect, they're quite competitive as a whole within the industry. So I just wanted to touch on next some job descriptions, just so you guys are aware of what type of positions are available and how you work up the ranks to become the top of the game. So a manager may perform the following task in addition to physical tasks such as the station hand, but we'll get to that later. So you can manage the business capital, plans and strategic directions of the business, manage the financial aspects of the business by controlling income and expenses, decide or advise on the kind of crops to be grown, the area to be sown or planted and the livestock to be raised, plan the type of farming activities to be undertaken, estimate operating costs and order supplies such as seed, fertiliser, livestock fodder and farm equipment. They recruit, coordinate and direct farm workers on crop growing and livestock raising. They plan activities to minimise environmental degradation, monitor environmental effects of farming activities and repair existing damage through programs such as tree planting, etc. So the manager is the highest ranking worker on the farm, and that's where you want to aim for when you go into your farm position. The assistant manager, still no slouch. They may assist the manager in any way which is required. This may include taking responsibility for certain operations, such as the cattle operation, the cropping operations, or any other specific areas. They may complete or assist with many of the tasks required of the manager and act in the manager's role during the absence of the manager. So next we have the overseer, which supervises and coordinates the activities of the station's hands and jackaroos. And they may be required to assist the manager or assistant manager with additional duties as well. And they're generally quite experienced in their required areas of farming. The station hand, which you can be a senior station hand or a station hand, and they carry out important animal and husbandry and cropping operations. So they cultivate the soil, sow and harvest and control weeds. They care for livestock and treat minor injuries and illnesses. They use and maintain vehicles and heavy machinery, perform tasks involved in the breeding and raising of livestock. They ride horses or motorbikes to muster sheep or cattle. They maintain computer records and report to upper management if required. And they maintain and repair farm buildings, bores, machinery, fences, gates, windmills, and other equipment. The jackaroo or jillaroo is the younger, less experienced members of the farming team. So if you are coming into the farming game with little experience, you'll probably enter in as a jackaroo or jillaroo. So then you get to learn the duties of a station hand. If you are slightly more experienced, maybe you did a fair bit of help on the farm growing up, then you may enter in as a station hand onto a farm, but that's based on your experience and what is required of you by the employer. So then there's other positions which are less likely to be available, such as a farm secretary. They're less likely these days, but still something to look out for. So what farm staff are paid? So this graph shows the base salary plus superannuation in the blue columns there of all the job positions that I just described. The orange columns are the total package value, which shows the fringe benefits. So these are non-cash benefits that you get from working on a farm. So these are around vehicles, phones, houses and rent, and they typically make up 25 to 30% of the employee's salary. So which is quite a significant amount, and you've got to take that into consideration when you're looking at going onto a farm, is what the fringe benefits are, as well as what the base salary is, because that'll make quite a difference to how much you're able to save and what is your actual package. So the biggest challenge, oh, gone too far, for the industry, and employees is to find an employer who will strive for greater efficiency. So we did a survey, and the greatest, so in the environment that the employees were working, the biggest thing was that employees wanted a better workplace, and they wanted to be valued by their employees more. So it's really important for you guys to find an employer who will improve their communication processes and allow for your professional development. So that's so going into an interview, it's not just about what you offer them, it's what they can offer you as well. And career progression is a really big part of that, because you're going to your ongoing needs for career development is really important. So finding employers who want to invest in that, and also in who are wanting to reward you for the time on the farm, not just with cash benefits, but with non-cash benefits as well, is really important. So just a few key points in summary. There are a range of positions available for students wanting to enter the farming sector. So as I mentioned, jumping in as a jackaroo or jillaroo and then moving up through the ranks to become a manager. As you saw, that farm salaries are really competitive, and once you hit that managerial role, you're right up there with other paying jobs in other industries. The total value of the farm salary is not well understood, and it's really important that when you go in with your employer and discuss your salary package, that it's really transparent and you both know the values that you're putting on things like rent, things like how much the vehicle is costing, so that your whole package is really transparent towards you, and you know where you're heading. And the inequality of employers is a limitation. So the jobs are not the limitation. It's finding the employer that wants to invest their time into you and your career development, because that's when you'll start kicking goals. So thank you. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Hilary. I'll just ask if anyone's got any questions to type them into the chat box there now, and we'll be able to get them through to Hilary, and she'll be able to provide some answers if anyone's got any particular questions they'd like to ask. Thank you very much for that, Hilary. The information was very pertinent in regards to the wide range of different positions that are available within the ag sector, right through from obviously the entry through to management. So hopefully that resonates with some people, and looking at the pathways available through and the applicable salaries and remuneration available. I just have one question, Hilary, just in regards to any further resources that you may have or available for any of the participants to access at a later date, possibly, in regards to the information you've provided.
Yeah, for sure. If anyone, so we do have publications, but considering everyone in school may not want to save up their pocket money for them, if you just flick me an email, which Melanie has, or I can put in the chat if you like, I'll be able to provide you with any more information. And yeah, that's fine if you just want to email me any further questions, or if you just want to know a few more things around the specifics of the salary and the salary package that you might be looking at.
Jacob has asked, as a jackaroo, what wage is to be expected in the first year? Hilary, would you be?
Yeah, so I did sort of skip over a little bit, sorry, Jacob. So from this graph, you can sort of see your base salary, you're looking at a bit under 40 grand or around 40 grand there, with some total package value. So that'll probably include a vehicle, likely to be for a jackaroo, and maybe a bit of rent in there. So between 40 and 45 grand for a jackaroo, provided you don't have any experience. I would think the more experience you have, the greater your salary would be, obviously, but that's based on what type of experience you have and how it relates to the job at hand.
Great, thanks, Hilary. I think it is really key that for a lot of people going to work on farms, that they don't necessarily realise that they might have their room and board included, or they might have fuel included, and those extra fringe benefits in some of those positions make up a fair chunk of their overall package.
Yeah, definitely, and it's something that really takes the weight off your salary. So it's you're able to save more, you're able to put your money away and use it for other things rather than it getting taxed or taken off you.
Yeah, that's right. And often if you are working in a remote location, there's not that many places to spend your money either. So it's a good saving technique as well.
Yep.
All right, thanks so much for that, Hilary.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, Hilary, thank you very much for that. That was really important information, sending that out to all our participants. So as we move through, we've got our next three presenters representing some larger organisations that are major employers within the agricultural sector. So they're going to be able to provide some crucial information. The first person will be Kath Graham, and Kath is representing the Australian Agricultural Company, which is focused on agriculture and cattle, especially up in the Northern Territory in Northern Australia. So Kath,
Kathy, you there?
Yep. Can you hear me?
We can, Kath. I can hear you nice and clearly.
That's
so
great.
I'll hand over to you, Kath, and let you go with your presentation. Can you see your presentation now, Kath?
Yes, I can, and I can just use the arrows to go through.
Yes, you can.
Great. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much for having us join you today. I'm actually going to hand over to two of our staff members to run through a presentation, and then we've got questions at the end where you can ask questions. So we'll just start off, and I'll introduce Kate Reid and Travis Hurden. I'll hand over to you guys.
Hi everybody, my name's Kate Reid. So I'm off of property, beef and farming at Millmerran. I went to boarding school in Toowoomba and I went straight to UNE and studied a Bachelor of Animal Science. I went into the graduate program straight after university and I've been with the company for about 18 months, moving around stations, feedlot and living in the Brisbane, working at the head office at the moment.
Thanks, Kate. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thanks for having me. My name's Travis Hurden. I'm a livestock and production officer based here in Brisbane. I spent a majority of my childhood working, living in cities, and then after finishing high school, I went and studied a Bachelor of Agribusiness at university. I wanted to gain and learn more about cattle production, so I ventured up to the Northern Territory to work for AACO on a station that AACO owns, and I worked as a station hand there, and now I am working in Brisbane.
So just to tell you a little bit about our company, we've got 21 stations from Southern Queensland, Northern Queensland and in the Territory. We've got 2 feedlots, one on the Darling Downs and one in Central Queensland, including 2 farms as well. We've got approximately 500,000 head of cattle and we have strategic partnerships with both processing and agistment places. We've actually got around 430 amazing people which work for our company, and that's ranging everywhere from stations, feedlot to head office.
AACO owns 21 cattle stations in the Northern Territory and Queensland. We breed a AACO composite animal as well as a F1 and purebred Wagyu animal. These animals are renowned for their fertility, growth and performance. Our backgrounding properties allow us to fatten cattle before they reach a certain weight range. That is market spec, and thereafter they head towards either a feedlot or straight to the abattoir.
So we have 2 feedlots which we both own and operate ourselves. Aranui, which is located 20 k's east of Dalby in Queensland. This feedlot has a licensed capacity of 16,000 head. And Gnu feedlot, which is located 20 k's south of Comet, up near Emerald in Queensland. It has a licensed capacity of around 20,000 head. So within both of these feedlots, there's many different work opportunities, from the livestock team to the mill to admin, farming and maintenance. We've got a farming component and a station component at Gnu feedlot. And we have a research facility called GrowSafe where we do net feed intake trials, to assist our selecting bulls for the stations.
So the passion that our people have for our business is the core strength for our success of our company. Their commitment and expertise is the growth, allows us to perform in each sector. Many of these people have left high school, ventured up to these stations and have stayed there ever since. They now have a family and manage cattle stations and feedlots, and and live a fantastic and rewarding lifestyle.
So the great thing about AgCareers is we offer a career and not just a job. We've got competitive pay. We offer plenty of training and development. Examples of those is the horseshoeing clinic and horsemanship schools that occur at both at stations and feedlots. We have many transfer opportunities, which is a great opportunity if you begin in the Northern Territory and you'd like to move across to the Gulf for your second or third year. We have plenty of opportunities to do that. We have social events. Most stations and feedlots have a social club, and these they hold race day events. We go to external race events. We attend rodeos, camp drafts. A lot of the station workers compete in these. It's a great community environment because you all live together, you work together, you have your meals together, and you do these social events. All of these stations and feedlots provide accommodation and meals through our great chefs and cooks. And yeah, it's basically just a great opportunity to see the outback.
So on our pastoral properties, we offer a range of different positions. These positions include station hands that manage and handle livestock, farm hands, livestock hands, technical regional analysts, rangelands officers who study and report on how much grass that we have to feed our cattle, administrative staff, leading hands, supervisors, head stock persons, managers, overseers, mechanics who maintain all of our vehicles, which ranges between forklifts, mowers, Toyotas, all the way to big machinery like graders and road trains. Grader drivers, bore runners who are responsible for the supply of water to our cattle. Road train drivers, pilots, butchers, cooks who provide nutritious meals to our staff every day, home tutors and graduates.
So there's also many divisions within the Brisbane head office that you can work in as well. There's the livestock logistics team. So they basically look after the cattle from the feedlots to the processing. Sales and marketing, they basically sell our beef into all different markets around the world. HR, so human resources, they look after the people within our company. They hire all the great people. Finance, they pretty much look after the business. We've got work, health and safety, trying to keep everybody safe. We've got communications, so they are basically trying to tell our story, whether it's within and outside of the business. IT, innovation and technology, this is our research and development team. They are working on new technologies to improve the business. We've got our genetics team within that. And then there's also strategy, risk, quality assurance, legal and governments, and special projects teams. So the graduate program, this program is a great program. It runs for 2 years. It's got 6 different placements throughout. These are each 4 months in duration. Basically, it's aimed at giving our graduates an overall understanding of the operations within the business. So this year we're looking for 3 positions, 1 intensive, 1 extensive and 1 corporate. And these were advertised in July, hoping for commencement in February next year. The eligibility of this program, we're looking for recent graduates with a degree in agriculture or another relevant area, whether this is such as agribusiness, and we really just want people that have a passion for the industry. So the people photographed on this slide, we've got on the left, we've got Claire Pratt, she works in our finance team. Rachel Houlihan, she's the operations manager at Dalganally. Simon Kensett, who's an operations analyst within head office in Brisbane. And Rachel O'Connell, who's an operations analyst at Brunette. So as you can see, all of these different graduates have gone into different roles, whether it's still on station or whether it's back up here in head office in Brisbane. So it's quite a varying experience you can get within and after the program.
Start your career. It's Kath here now. So you can view and apply for our jobs on our website. We have some positions that are available now for our station hand roles. And our station hand, we refer to a station hand, is the same as a Jillaroo or a Jackaroo. Our station hand roles, they become available in October on our web page. And that's after we offer our transfer options staff in September. And once we've worked out where everyone wants to go and move to, then we open the jobs up to the wider community. Is featured on Facebook, so you can, as we post new positions, you can be aware of those on there. And if you have any questions, I know we've got a question time here at the end, but if you have any questions after this event and after today, just shoot an email through to HR@AACo, and the email address is there on the screen, and we'll be able to look after those queries and questions for you. And now we're open for any questions. Thank you.
Okay, so if anyone has any questions, I think we've got a question down the bottom there.
Okay, we've got a question from Rita first up. Can Year 12 completers apply to be a station hand?
Yes, certainly can. Year 12 certainly can. And as
Sorry, Kath and Kate and Travis, your sound does seem to be dropping out, in and out a bit there. So we've got a few questions there. I might forward them to you after the presentation.
Yeah, so what we might do is sort of move on to our next presenter. We'll collate all those questions and send them on to the guys at AACo. I'd like to thank Kath and Kate and Travis for your time and the information, which was fantastic. We provided a lot of information for all our participants. And again, thank you very much for that. So we might move on to our next presenter, who will be Fiona Bell. And Fiona's here today representing Costa, who are one of the largest horticultural employers within the agricultural sector. I'm sure that all of the participants here would have come across Costa products at some stage through supermarkets and things like that. So just wondering if Fiona, are you there? Can you hear us okay?
I am here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear.
Excellent.
So what we might do is I'll hand it over to you, Fiona, and you can take us through your information.
Okay, lovely. Thank you. My name's Fiona. I'm from Costa and I've worked here for about 7 years. I'm the HR manager and have been lucky enough to see a lot of the growth that happened across Costa in those 7 years. Costa started in 1888 as a little small fruit and veggie shop. So it's grown up from there to about 7,000 employees across Australia, and fruit and veggies to supermarkets, independent retailers and some providors. We are mainly focused on a few core categories, which you'll see there. Berries, mushrooms, tomatoes, citrus, grapes, avocados and bananas. Avocados being quite a young entrant in the category, and we've opened quite a few farms across the country in that region. Avocados are like gold now in supermarkets, so everyone's quite passionate about the produce. We've also got our Costa Farms and Logistics division. So we also, with that, have the ability to provide logistics and supply chain solutions to retail sectors and the wholesale and market services. So we are in some markets across the state, and that gives us the ability to offer supply chain roles and sales roles and make sure that we've got a nice various offering across a few career divisions there. So that's a bit of a map of where we're located. It's colour coordinated to the categories. Most states you'll see there, we've got, it is a mixture of farms, logistics divisions and offices. So obviously one of the main focuses we have is making sure that we get quality product to customers. So the people on farms are really passionate. So what you would have seen across a few of these presentations already, I think, is the demonstration of passion. The people in the agriculture sector just have so much interest and passion and genuineness when you go out to the farms, and that goes right across the whole group as well. So it could be right from soil preparation, so making sure that the soil is ready for the growing of the product, harvesting the crop, packing the produce as well, quality control, so making sure that quality is key in everything that we do. Research and development is another big thing that's coming. So, you know, we really look towards innovation and making sure that we're looking at the best growing techniques, looking at different programs to develop the fruit, understanding different trials, also just understanding different varieties of fruit and how they perform. Some of our entry-level positions, they vary quite a bit. So obviously we've got some of the farming type roles. We've been trying to get graduate agronomists at, across that eastern coast area of Australia. IT administrators and administration, sales roles, finance and accounts, operations are good entry-level positions. So a number of our farm supervisors and farm managers have come up through starting as a picker or a packer. Trials assistant, so again, really working in that research area, and human resources. There's some of our roles and different career opportunities. We've got pictured there Melissa. Melissa started as a horticulturalist a couple of years ago, and she won one of our scholarships. So that was $10,000 for her to spend on development for herself. And what she did with that was she went on a study tour overseas and looked at other berry farms and looking at best practice, research, those sorts of things. So she was really happy to do that. So I think the advantages of working with Costa is, you know, it is constantly growing. So we've constantly got opportunities right across the country. Challenging, varied and exciting work. So we are moving quickly. We are looking to innovate. So we're always looking for the skills to support us to do that. The people focus, we can't do anything with the skills of the people behind us. So Frank Costa, the family that originally created Costa, started the vision of people first, and his values has really resonated throughout the whole group. And so we still have that very much people first culture. Learning and development, we do try and ensure that people have learning and development plans across the group. So my early example of Melissa, we have award ceremonies every year, and we make sure that employees can nominate each other for great work that they've done throughout the year. Competitive salaries and incentives. We believe we've got very competitive salaries with those comparable on the market. It's something we've got to be very mindful of because we're in different states and we're always competing for talent. So we want to get the right people, and we want to ensure that we treat them right and give them the right salaries. Again, working with passionate people. When I go out to the farms, I just love the passion that they've got. They always spend time with you. They make sure they take you on a tour. It's really great just to see how much time they take with the produce and how much care they've got for it. The diverse scope in employment opportunities. Like I said before, because we're across different sectors, we've got the supply chain as well as agriculture. I think that gives us the opportunity to really target a whole different range of careers. We've also got some of those corporate type roles as well, so your HR, your IT, your accounts, your finance. And leading innovation in research and development, so that's becoming quite big. So we want to always make sure that we improve and look at what are the trends coming out globally. So we need really good people to do that. Does anyone have any questions that I might not have covered?
Thank you, Fiona. Yeah, if anyone's got any questions, if they could send them through down the bottom on the chat box there. And while Fiona's there, we'll get her to answer those. Thank you for that information. One thing that resonated with me, Fiona, was when looking at that map around the extent of the Costa operations right across the country. It was interesting to see that, and obviously the large number of opportunities are available through your organisation. So thank you very much for that information.
No worries.
If anyone's got some questions there for Fiona, if you guys could send them through now.
I think it was great, Fiona, the career development that a company like Costa offers with the scholarships and the reinvesting in your staff. I think we heard at the beginning from Hilary that finding an employer who was prepared to invest in their staff was a real key challenge in the industry, and it's great to hear that, Costa is taking that on board and really promoting their staff and looking after their career development. And you can start picking fruit and sort of move into all different areas in the company.
Yeah, that's it. And I think that's something we're really proud of, and we are certainly trying to get those stories out there. LinkedIn being one avenue for that is showing off our people and how they've developed through the company. It's something we can be really proud of.
Yeah, absolutely. Fiona, we've had a question from Rita, who's working with Year 11 and 12 students completing their VCE in Bendigo in Victoria. A lot of kids interested in agriculture don't have a family farming background. How can they obtain experience and apply for entry-level roles? Is university the way for them to go, or are they better to find an employer who provides on-the-job training?
Yeah, look, I think it's always good to have a bit of an understanding of what it's like working on the farm, but often what we find is sometimes people will join the farm sort of role, like it could be picking or packing, and then they take on a qualification after. So that might be a certificate in horticulture or agriculture. Other times we get people that have done a degree in agriculture and then contact us for any career opportunities, and that might be graduate or it might be direct entry into a role. So it can vary. It really depends on what sort of role that the person wants to do. But, you know, getting in there and getting some experience is definitely not an issue if the person doesn't have qualifications yet.
Yeah, and there seems to be opportunities at kind of at every level. Like if you're keen enough to work and go out and get a job as straight from school, there's the opportunity while you're working to do a qualification or even a part qualification while you're in that first year out, and then move on from there and progress your education as your career progresses. It's not limited to leaving school and going to uni or not. That option is always there.
Yep, that's right. Definitely.
All right, Fiona, thank you very much. Has anyone got any further questions they'd like to throw out to Fiona before we move on?
Maybe if anyone thinks of anything further, please don't hesitate to email me via the link there. We are updating our website at the moment, so we don't have a lot of career information there, but please don't hesitate to reach out via email if you have any questions.
Yeah, and as everyone can see, we've got Fiona's email address down the bottom there, so feel free to contact Fiona. Again, thank you very much for that, Fiona. That was fantastic.
No worries. Thank you.
No worries. Ben, I'll just give a little quick introduction there. So this is Ben Stockman, CEO of Career Harvest, and he'll be providing some information, careers and growth areas in agriculture, only scholarships and internship information which will be pertinent to our listeners. So over to you, Ben.
Yeah, look, appreciate that. So the larger organisation for whom I work is the wonderful title of the Primary Industries Education Foundation Australia. Hopefully a couple of you teachers have heard of it. Use our website called Prime Zone, which is a one-stop portal, or the first port of call that they should come to for resources to help teach you guys about where food comes from. We've recently started running a website called Career Harvest, which I'll talk about shortly as well. We aim that for that to be a one-stop shop for career information, career pathways, career internships, video case studies, and also scholarship information. I'll talk more about Career Harvest shortly. What I'll do first of all is I'll just play to you a 4-minute video. Now this is one of the videos that appears on our Prime Zone website. I think it's a really good illustration of the vast array of careers that are available in any one context. The video I'm about to show you deals with a Wagyu producer in South Australia. It's a vertically integrated operation, but you can just see within that video the vast range of careers. So perhaps if you're a student or a teacher watching this, as you watch the video, you may like to tap into the comment box the various type of careers that you can see as you go along. So for example, you know, an animal scientist, a chef, or whatever, but type it in. As if you see a different career, tap it in there. I'll see how the technology works. So share application screen, entire screen. You can all see all sorts of wonderful stuff on my computer screen at the moment, but I'll kick off with the video now. I'll go back to the big. How's that?
Yep, thank you.
Perfect. Thanks, mate.
Oh, thank you, Lab.
There's quite a large variety of breeds of cattle in Australia. Your northern types of cattle, you've got your Brahmans, Santa Gertrudis, those types of cattle, and then people tend to cross them with other breeds. In southern Australia, you've got some of your older breeds, are your Herefords. Then you've got Angus. Angus is quite a popular breed. Then you've got more what they call European type cattle, so you've got Simmentals, Charolais, those types of things. And here at Mayura, we've got Wagyu cattle, which are an Asian breed of cattle. They actually originate from Japan. Wa means Japanese or Japanese style, and Gyu actually means cattle. And Wagyu were actually imported into Australia, live cattle, full-blood Wagyu were imported into Australia for the first time in 1998. So they're a breed which is focused on carcass quality and carcass traits. And in Asia, the thing that people want the most is high levels of fat contained within the muscle of a steak, which is called intramuscular fat, or as we know it, marbling.
So marbling is what we can see here. It's the nice street map of intramuscular fat that runs between the muscle fibres. And Wagyu itself is one of the only breeds in the world that really has this inherent marbling.
When you're producing a carcass which has very high levels of marbling, it's important that the animals have a very high amount of energy in their rations. They need a lot of simple carbohydrates. So to do that, you use grain feeding. Another form of production is grass feeding, which is very traditional in southern Australia, but it doesn't have the same level of energy requirements to produce that high level of marbling in beef. What we do is we raise the cattle on improved pastures, so that's more perennial type pastures, ryegrass, clovers, those types of varieties. And once the cattle are about 10 to 12 months of age, they go into a grain feeding program where they prescribe how many kilos per head we feed our cattle every day, and that's delivered through a conveyor belt. Mayura, it's a vertically integrated operation, so not only do we breed all the cattle, but we grow our own grain and fodder as well. And to manage that, what we do is we take tissue samples further and brand and market our own product. Everything is sold in a Mayura box, and every cryovac of meat has a Mayura meat insert inside. So when someone buys the product, it has the Mayura branding on it. The reason we did that was because we had a vision of creating a product of very high quality, and to do that, we felt it was very important that we did that under our own brand. And that way, what you're doing is you're building a relationship with the consumer, and all the work that you're putting into producing a high quality brand then gets reflected back to that consumer. And then they want to buy it again. They know the consistency, and you build brand loyalty with your customers.
With that video, Justine, you can sort of see, obviously, from the cattle end of it, obviously needing the grain, someone to handle the animals, all the way through to the abattoir, so they're vertically integrated, so they have people who slaughter, cut up, butcher their own animals there. They then have their on-site chef. They have people involved with the packaging, obviously with the advertising, obviously with the rolling through to being able to package it, design it, and market it in Japan. So obviously there's people working on the station in South Australia, but they also have people as live field agents in Japan promoting and selling their product as well. And obviously people from the station itself go back and forth to Japan. So I'm sure there's a few students out there who would probably enjoy a couple of business class return trips to Japan a few times a year. So they're all the sorts of roles that you can have. When we look at those videos in particular, and I'll just go up to where that video came from. So for students who want to know more about those particular videos, if you go to this website, Prime Zone, which is ours, which has a range of videos, you click on School Resources, and then you can click on Type of Resource by Video, and we've got around 80 different videos there that showcase a whole range of different careers. So you may be a city kid with a little idea around what actually happens on a farm, so you want to look out to it. You could be a student studying agriculture around in Western New South Wales, but you may only be dealing with one or two particular type of commodity groups. So the videos that are on here will give you a great idea of all the sorts of different careers that are out there. As mentioned before, we have a website called Career Harvest, which has a huge range of career pathways, video case studies, scholarships and internships for those who do want to work within the industry. So very simple, Career Harvest, so careerharvest.com.au. At the moment, it looks like this, but if you came back and checked in a week's time, it's going to look like that. So careerharvest.com.au. You can start by looking at the sort of things that you're interested in terms of a career. It may be working with computers, it may be working with animals, you could like the outdoors, could like helping people and so on. And then from that, you can go through and select what sort of further filters you'd like to look with your careers. So choosing with your education level, do you plan on leaving school in year 8 or 9? Do you plan on sticking around to go get a postdoctorate at university? So there's a whole range of different educations. Whereabouts would you like to work? There may even be specific words that you want to kick in there to help define your career. So as I've said, at the moment it looks like that, but in a week's time it'll be a lot more interactive for you. and hopefully is really useful, not only for students that are out there thinking of a career, but also for teachers who are hopefully trying to guide them as well. My closing comments within this is, regardless of what industry you want to work with inside the food and fibre production industry, you'll be very well looked after. There's no shortage of jobs there. The industry itself is expected to grow from a $60 billion industry a year to a $100 billion industry within the next 10 to 15 years. And of course, that's going to require a whole range of jobs. Now, that could be on farm, or it could be working around anywhere in the world. Our core market for our products is in Asia. So all the large companies like Meat and Livestock Australia, Australian Pork Limited, have offices dotted all around the world. If you work for Australia Wool Innovation, for example, you might find yourself working in one of their fashion houses in Rome, in Italy, in Europe. So there's no shortage of careers or areas where you can go. Half the careers within the sector are urban-based careers. They don't necessarily have to be on-farm-based careers. And you will be looked after if you're able to express to somebody in industry that you are keen, you're young, you're interested. You'll find support with scholarships, with internships, and a whole range of wonderful networking opportunities. So if there's any questions, I'll pass on. I'll take them now. Otherwise, I'll pass on to the next presenter.
Yeah, so if anyone's got any questions for Ben, if they could submit those via the chat box there down the bottom. Whilst he's online there, we can get him to provide the answers. Ben, thank you very much for that. That was a very comprehensive presentation. Really appreciate the information you provided. Obviously, there's some great resources there available for both teachers and students to be able to access both Prime Zone and the Career Harvest website.
Right. Well, thanks very much for the opportunity. Well done.
No worries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Simon is the traineeship manager for Elders, and she should be able to provide some comprehensive information as to that pathway through into the agricultural sector. So I'll hand over to Simon, and we'll run through the presentation.
Okay. So yeah, my name's Simone Gand. I'm the traineeship coordinator with Elders, and I have been with Elders for nearly 9 years now, in a few different roles, but in this current role for probably about 5 years. So my role is basically to manage our traineeship program, but I will talk about some other broader career opportunities within Elders also. Okay, so this is just a little bit about Elders. I'm sure a lot of you know of us. So we're a leading agribusiness and an iconic brand throughout Australia. We are an agribusiness that seeks to create real value for all stakeholders. So that's, we're a relationship-based business, so relationships with producers, vendors, suppliers, and everyone really, built around primary producers and their needs throughout the production cycle. So we've been around for a bit over 175 years now, so fairly well established. I hope I'm not speaking too fast. This slide just shows you a little bit about our business and the different product areas. So retail products, we have agronomic services, farm supplies and fertiliser. So most of you might have seen or been into one of our branches or offices throughout the country. So that's where we have our merchandise sales or retail sales. We have agency services, which looks after our livestock, wool, grain and businesses. And we also have water as well, which sits under there now. Also water trading. And then we have financial services, banking and insurance. And we also have real estate. And we have a feedlot out of Kalara, so we own that feedlot. We have some online platforms as well, so Elders Auction Services. We are a 50% owner in Auctions Plus. And we have a few other online platforms as well. So you may have the Red Notebook is an app that anyone can download onto a smartphone or iPad. And within that, there's a reporter app, where you can you go on and listen to market reports and things like that. So that's a few of the things that we offer. And we also have, like the other businesses that have presented today, we have our support departments within HR, marketing and communications. So that's just, again, a broad summary of what we do at Elders. I'm just waiting for the slide to come. That's a bit hard to see, that map, but all those little black dots are where we have a branch or an office throughout the country, and the little red ones, which are hard to see as well, but they are locations where we have had a trainee base at some point in time. So it just shows you how many different places you can work if you have a career with Elders. So we offer a wide range of career options, including livestock, farm supply, agronomy, financial services and real estate, and as the map shows, in a variety of positions and locations. I'll just go into our graduate agronomy program and our stock and station agent traineeship in a bit more detail, because I'm sure that's probably what a lot of you would be interested in hearing about. Okay, so the stock and station agency traineeship program, this is the one that I manage, so I'll talk to you a little bit about that. So we have our completion rate, it's over 90% of our trainees that start with us complete the program, and over 90% of those that have completed are offered ongoing full-time career roles within Elders. You have 2 intakes each year, and we take a group of 8 to 10 at each time. We are in the middle of recruiting right now, so we're doing our face-to-face interviews this week and last week and next week to take a group that will start with us at the end of September or early October. So the actual recruitment process involves an initial phone interview followed by a face-to-face interview. And we can also, any candidates that we have that show high potential, or we think show high potential, but are lacking experience, we can refer them to some other businesses or clients of ours that we have relationships with that can provide a season or 2 on a station or something like that. And we actually have had, particularly this time round, we've had a number of people that have applied with us in the past that we've suggested they go away and get a bit more experience and then come back and apply. So we've interviewed quite a few of those this time around, and and a lot of them will probably have the chance to join us. If not this time, then in a future intake. So when we are recruiting, who do we look for? People who have a passion for agriculture, which obviously anyone that could apply would probably have. Need good or effective communication and interpersonal skills. So as I was saying, we're a relationship-based business, self-motivation, a good work ethic, and a desire to build a long-term sales career. So the stock and station agent traineeship is, I guess, different to some other traineeships in that it's not about having a year or 2 to work out what you want to do. We're looking for people that already know what they want to do, and we will help them get there. So the trainees have to move throughout an 18-month fixed-term contract, and we move them throughout our network during those 18 months. So they spend between 3 months and 6 months in a location, and then we move them on to another location, and that can be anywhere throughout our network, so anywhere throughout the country. So because of that, successful candidates are usually those who have worked away from home for a period of at least 6 months. And as I was saying, ones that haven't had that experience, we can sometimes refer them to other places. They don't have to take that advice. They can just go and do anything for 6 months or 12 months and then come back and apply. So it's about moving away from home, setting up your own network and starting to live independently. So trainees who successfully complete the program are given the opportunity to apply for a permanent position with us. So at the moment, so the current form of the program has been running for about 5 years. So the sort of roles that we have graduated trainees in at the moment include a branch manager, livestock sales manager. We have them in livestock production advisors, as well as some of our support roles, farm supplies roles. We've got a couple that have moved into are based in our head office in roles in social media and e-commerce. So there's lots of different things, lots of different places the program can take you if you know what it is that you are interested in. We also do have an agronomy graduate program, which is for people who have completed tertiary studies, usually it doesn't have to be agronomy, but an agricultural discipline. That's it. They have an intake once a year. They take about 3 each intake, and that's a 2-year training program. Again, there's no guarantee of full-time placement on completion, but like the traineeship program, it's designed to have people join us and stay with us. The grad program, the first 12 months is a generalist role split into 2 6-month intervals. So 6 months in broadacre and 6 months in horticulture, and then the second year is a full-time placement based on where the graduate wants to do the segment that they want to work in. And again, who do we look for? Gone one too far now. But same thing, communication. For the graduate program, you need to have completed your tertiary qualifications. But again, they require to move, as are the trainees. So you need to be willing to do that. There is a lot more information on our website, and there's also on the website there's an email address where you can contact us. If you have any questions, I mean, I know we'll take questions in a minute anyway, but there is a contact email on there that you can email. Just a couple of things, just wanted to, I guess, reiterate from what other people have said today, in today's session. With interviews or with applications, a couple of things to just be clear on when you're starting out is make sure that your resume or your CV is clear but concise. So tell us or tell your prospective employers what you've done and what skills that's given you. A cover letter needs to grab someone's attention. And one of the biggest important things for us is, and this sounds simple, but you'd be surprised how often it's not there, is to make sure your contact details are there and that they're up to date and correct. So are there any questions at all? I can see there's a question there about opportunities for school-based traineeships. That's done at a local level within each branch, so the best thing to do there is to contact your local elders branch.
Okay, thank you, Simone. Has anyone else got any further questions that they would like to ask? If you would like to do that, just send them through on the chat box down the bottom there. Again, information was fantastic that you provided there, Simone, especially the details around the application techniques. So we've just had a question come through from Annika. Does tertiary education mean a bachelor level?
That's for the agronomy program. Yeah, it does. Generally speaking, it's a degree, yes. So the trainees, that do the stock and station agent program complete a certificate for agriculture as part of the program with us. So we work with the TAFE to help us provide that accredited training, that certificate. It's a very much hands-on training, so it does involve attending the TAFE for workshops, a couple of workshops that are a week at a time, and some online learning, and then the majority is what you do day to day on the job. So we get feedback from wherever the trainee's based, and they have like a booklet or a checklist that they have to tick off with all the skills as they attain the skills.
Yeah, and obviously one of the benefits of the traineeship is the earn while you learn sort of motto that goes with that, so getting the workplace skills. If anyone else got any questions before we move on, we've obviously got the contact details for Simone, so if anyone's got any questions further down the track, more than happy to take those and we can pass those on. So Simone, thank you very much for that.
No problem, thank you.
Really appreciate your time, and the information was fantastic.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay, thanks for that. Okay, so now what we're going to do is move on to our next presenter, and this is a young lady that is one of our star students. She's enrolled with RuralBiz Training. She's undertaking an integrated bachelor degree up at UNE, and this young lady's name is Bessie McGaffin. Bessie, are you there? Can you hear us okay?
Yep, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
We've got you loud and clear. So what I'll do is I'll hand over to you, Bessie, to do your presentation.
Fantastic. So my name's Bessie McGaffin, and I finished Year 12 in 2014, and I grew up on a property down in Victoria in Wodonga. It's a small veal enterprise. After finishing school, I took a year off, and I actually worked for AgCareers and as one of their dealeroos, and I loved it, and I would recommend the company highly. And then after that, I moved on to UNE to start. I originally started in a Bachelor of Agricultural Science and then moved from there into the Bachelor of Agricultural Production and Management, which is done through UNE and RuralBiz, and I'm now in my third and final year of that. So the reason I moved from agriculture to the Agricultural Production and Management, which is the RuralBiz and UNE course, was I found that the straight agricultural science was just not a very practical degree, and I'd heard a lot about the agricultural production and management degree being very practical because of the RuralBiz side of things, and ever since I wouldn't go back. I've really enjoyed it. So the way it works for me is so if I stayed in straight ag UNE degree, I would have done 24 university units. But doing my agricultural production and management, I'll do 12 UNE units, and then I'll do my diploma and advanced diploma through RuralBiz. It's all covered by, so your UNE, your university side of things are all covered by HEX, and your diploma and advanced diploma are covered by the Commonwealth Assistance. I am able to stay at a college because I am a university student. So I stay at St Albert's College up here in Armidale, and I love it. It is a lot of fun. I really enjoy RuralBiz. We're really lucky here at UNE because RuralBiz actually has an office at the university. So when I moved into my degree, Agricultural Production and Management, I was offered to do it through a number of RTOs. So RuralBiz was one of them. Then there was TAFE and Tocal. And the reason I went with RuralBiz was because they do have that office at UNE. So I didn't have to go into town every time I wanted to go and study or go in to get one-on-one face-to-face help. So that's been really handy for me here at UNE to have that help always there every day. As I said earlier, I'm in my last year. I'm into my advanced diploma now, and I'm finishing off my last 2 UNE units this trimester. So I'm hoping to finish those off this year and be into the workforce next year. I'm looking at doing my major for RuralBiz is in livestock production, and my interests lie in beef production, more in particularly large-scale beef production. I'm really interested in the northern production systems, and I really enjoy studying precision agriculture, and I really look forward to going out into the workforce and communicating the benefits that precision agricultural technology can have on production systems and profit. That's really it for me, but if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask. I've really enjoyed the course, and I definitely recommend it, especially to students who do want to do a degree but are a bit afraid that it might not be practical enough, which is what the issue I had. But doing it through RuralBiz, I've had a lot of practical opportunities. Today, the other half of my class, they're out doing a fecal worm egg count class, so that's really fun. Yeah, there's heaps of opportunities, and it opens a lot of doors for you, a lot of connections. Our Milton and Ash, our RuralBiz representatives here at UNE, they really look after us, and they're always looking out for us for even harvest jobs or opportunities and connections when you do finish university.
So Bessie, it's Grant here. Just wondering if you might be able to give us a little bit of a description or rundown as to what university life is like undertaking this degree, and I suppose in regards to the weighing up of being able to undertake the integrated degree a little bit, and give a bit of an outline as to the uni life, I suppose, for any potential students.
Yeah, not a problem. I love uni life. It's a lot of fun. I definitely recommend UNE. There's a lot of really good colleges. I'm a bit biased and I really love Albies College, but I know Rob College is another good one. College life is a lot of fun, and doing my degree, which is an integrated degree, I still have UNE units that I complete, and I do that with the other agricultural science students, the rural science students, the animal science students. A lot of us do have the same UNE units. Another thing which I should have mentioned earlier that I do really enjoy about doing the integrated degree is that you get a lot more electives with your UNE side of things compared to your fully just UNE degrees. So animal science and agricultural science, you do get to some electives. An elective, for those who don't know, is when you get to specifically choose what units you want to do. So you'll have a list of units you must do in your course outline, and a lot of them will be ones like maths and science and things you might not be super interested in, but then you can pick electives such as wool or feedlot or beef production, more specific topics. And with my degree, the integrated degree, I do have a lot more electives and options rather than if I stayed in straight agriculture. I loved doing the integrated degree. I do 4 hours of class with RuralBiz a week, and then my hours with my UNE units will range depending on whether I do 2 UNE units or 3 UNE units a trimester. But the workload really does even itself out, and it does sound like a lot to think that you might be doing an advanced diploma and a diploma, and then you're doing a university degree on the same kind of edge. But it evens itself out because you're doing part university and the other half you're doing diploma and advanced diploma.
Okay, that's great, Bessie. We've just got a question come through from Griffith High School. Yep. And they're just asking, with the RuralBiz component, how much more prac-based time do you get compared to the other students doing the straight UNE degree?
Well, I should have also mentioned this too. So as you know, with university degrees, you have to do a practical component. So your practical component with different degrees will depend. You might have to do 6 weeks, 8 weeks. With the Bachelor of Agricultural Production and Management, I don't have to, the UNE doesn't expect me to do prac with businesses because of the RuralBiz component that I do. So because the RuralBiz is so practical in the experience that you get, I don't have to do prac as such, as my prac is covered under RuralBiz. So where you get the practical experience from RuralBiz is we'll go on a lot of excursions as a class. We'll go out to properties. Like I said, today they're doing the fecal worm egg count. We've got a chemicals course coming up that we all have the opportunity to do. We've got a quad bikes course. They really give us a lot of opportunities, which is why I've really enjoyed it, because the RuralBiz side is so practical, and there is a lot of scope for you to, because it is face-to-face, there is a lot of scope for you to say, I'm really interested in this. Do you think as a class we could do this as part of our practical side of things?
That's great, Bessie. Thank you very much. I hope that answers the question at the Griffith High School there. If anyone else has got any further questions they'd like to ask Bessie while she's there, just send it on the chat box there. Otherwise, we'll move on to our next speaker. I'll just give you a moment if anyone's got any questions there. No, doesn't seem to be. Okay, so our next speaker is the CEO of RuralBiz Training, Kathy Sims, and Kathy's here and we'll run through. Oh, hang on, we've just got a question come through from Jacob for Bessie. I don't know whether Bessie's still there.
Yep, I'm still here.
Yeah, and Jacob's asking, what are the benefits of doing an integrated course rather than a straight Cert 4 diploma?
I think a benefit for me is that at the end of this, I come out with a bachelor's degree, and it's given me the opportunity to apply for graduate, because this is my last year, to apply for graduate positions that do require you to do tertiary studies. So in the end, you graduate, and on my resume it can say advanced diploma in agriculture as well as a bachelor's degree in agricultural production and management. So I have been able to go out and get that university education.
Yeah, and obviously for any potential employer, that's going to hold quite a bit of weight there, obviously, as well.
Yeah. Yes.
And they're looking at that. So hopefully, Jacob, that answers your question. So if there's no further questions coming through, again, as I said, our next speaker is Kathy Sims, who is the CEO of RuralBiz Training. And over to Kathy.
Thank you very much, Grant. It's been great, just particularly for me, hearing Bessie talking about the integrated degree, but hearing from all of our speakers today. So I just wanted to do a quick, probably backing up what Bessie said, just that RuralBiz Training is, like it says, we just do agriculture. Really what we focus on is just agriculture. That's the beginning and the end of it. So our main products are in Cert 4 diploma and advanced diploma levels. And you'll see that we cover a wide range of agricultural areas. So our two big ones, I suppose, would be agriculture and agribusiness, but followed up by horticulture. We have other specialty areas, probably some people may be interested in conservation and land management, organic farming, viticulture. And the last one listed there is community coordination and facilitation. And it may look to you like that doesn't have anything to do with agriculture, but in fact that's the qualifications that we've written, the materials specifically around land care. So quite a lot of the people who are interested in doing our courses are also interested in that land care area. So probably one of the things, I might just slip back to that previous slide before I go on to the funding side of things, just a little bit about how we offer our courses. We're a fully online organisation. Our goal has always been to deliver first-rate training, world-class training, to people in Australia, no matter how remote they are. So that's why we're online. Our goal is to bring that really top quality training to everyone, and our, if you like, our normal student, in inverted commas, is in fact working full-time on farm. Most of our diploma and advanced diploma students actually are running their own farms. So we have been set up to train farmers themselves. And that's why, just backing up what Bessie said, our emphasis is on practical agriculture. The other side of what we do is that our trainers themselves are farmers. So because we are online, again, our trainers are not located in any one spot. We draw our trainers from anywhere in Australia where we find someone that's good quality, passionate about agriculture and wants to pass that on to other people. That's where we draw our trainer pool from. So most of the time you in fact are being trained by farmers themselves. These are our trainers are also running their own farms. So that's really where our practical base comes from. It's not something we add on as an afterthought, it's actually what we grow out of. With that type of trainer and that type of student, we don't have any option other than to be very practical in our approach. So one of the things that people who are looking often want to know about funding, I just will mention very briefly that we hold or are registered to provide state subsidised funding in Queensland, New South Wales and Tasmania, and we are active all the time having a look at what opportunities there are in other states. But right across Australia, anyone who is studying with us at diploma or advanced diploma level can access the Commonwealth Assistance Scheme, the VET student loans. And as Bessie said, that she is able to use that. That's available no matter what state you're in. So that's similar to the HEX scheme from universities, where you are getting assistance from the Commonwealth Government and you pay back through the tax department when your salary reaches the base level. Okay, one of the other things I just draw your attention to, there are scholarships available, and one of the ones that is particularly of interest, I think, is the rural and regional scholarships. There are many other scholarships available, but this particular one I just want to make sure everyone is aware of. It can offer up to $18,000 over 4 years. It's available for any level from Certificate 4 right through to a PhD. So you can do anywhere in agriculture. It's actually available for STEM, and agriculture is one of the STEM subjects. You can be studying full or part-time, you can be doing online study, but one of the provisos is that you can't have started the course already. Your permanent home address must be a regional or remote address, and I've put the website there, QTAC website, where you can go and get more information about it. The QTAC people are the administrators of it on behalf of the Commonwealth. It's actually a Commonwealth Government scholarship. Just at the other end, I suppose, we offer our own scholarships with Future Farmers Network. We're in a partnership with them, and so for next year, for 2019, there will be 2 scholarships worth $2,000 each for anyone doing diploma or advanced diploma level training through us. So that will be getting advertised over the next few weeks, and we'll be calling for applications for people ready to start their training in the beginning of 2019. The other thing is there's a lot more scholarships available, and I've suggested you go back to Ben's website, the Career Harvest website that he spoke about earlier, and have a search around on that. There's a scholarships tab and you can dig into a huge range of scholarships. Hopefully one of the things that some of you will be thinking about and sitting here looking at some of the questions as being interesting is the idea of taking a gap year. Now, quite often people want to try out, they might want to go up to AACO or work for a year with someone, get some experience. Because we deliver online, we're able to support your gap year with some study. So, for instance, if you wanted to do a Certificate 4, you're good with us, or a diploma, and many of our Year 12 leavers are ready to go into the diploma level, and you could be, in fact, doing the Diploma of Agriculture that Bessie has done and already have some units at least knocked over before the end of your gap year, and then decide whether you want to go on and do something else, maybe do what Bessie's just finishing, and or go and apply your diploma somewhere else. But generally you'll find that most universities will give you credits. If you've got a diploma or an advanced diploma, you'll get some credits for that. So the gap year offers, I think, a really exciting opportunity where you can have a great job and you can actually be getting some study, some qualifications along with it. We offer part qualifications too, so if you don't want to do a whole diploma, we've got no problems with you enrolling in 1, 2 or up to whatever number of subjects you'd like to do. So you can put your toe in the water with us and that's fine. I'm just inviting you all to talk with us now, and we would love to have you on board in 2019. So if you've got any particular questions that you wanted to address to RuralBiz, then please pop them in the chat box.
So if anyone's got any questions they want to throw those through to myself or Kathy now, we'll try our best to answer them as best we can. Or if anyone's got any questions they may have had for any of our other presenters, please feel free to put them in, and we'll make sure that we can get those back up to any of those presenters to get you the answer as quickly as possible.
Yes, so thank you for the question from Griffith High School. Probably one of our standout characteristics is our support that we offer our students. So I'll just talk very briefly about that. At any time, a student is able to contact their trainer through our online technology. So there's a little link in every unit where you can just send a message to your trainer, and your trainer will get back to you normally within 24 to 36 hours. But quite apart from that, we run a system of what we call our guardian angels, and every student who enrolls with us is allocated their own guardian angel. And this is a person, not your trainer, but someone else, and they are pretty well all engaged in agriculture themselves. Their role is just to look after your progress and anything that you want to have sorted out. So if you think about your trainer looking after the content, your academic side, and you've then got this separate person who follows you right through your enrolment with us, looking after anything that's gone wrong. So, for instance, some of our students, for instance, in the drought, they're having their time has been taken up feeding stock, and they just can't continue their progress. They talk to their angel, and we make arrangements around that, so they can defer or they can extend their enrolments and this sort of thing. If they need a hand with something they can't get onto their trainer, they've always got a backup in their angel. Okay, so the other question that's gone in there, students, no, any of our courses are available fully online. Our UNE students are in fact a small part of what we do, and there we have a special arrangement around our UNE students. But our normal students, so not normal, I shouldn't say that, Bessie, our usual students are scattered right across Australia. We have students from every state in Australia doing any of those courses with us. So it would be quite possible for you to do the whole UNE degree from Griffith, because we offer everything online. So the diploma and the advanced diploma you can do with us online, and UNE also offers their subjects for distance education. So with ours fully online, with UNE, you would go to UNE 1 week every semester and do a residential school. So don't think that you can't do something that we're doing just because you're not near Armidale. We're actually based in Dubbo, so we have an office in Armidale, but our head office, if you like, is in Dubbo. Well, I just also have the little job of doing a quick review of what we've covered this morning, and it's just been, for me, I'm getting to the end of my career, my time in working in agriculture, I suppose, but it just blows me away and makes me really proud that this has been the industry that I've worked in for so long. I think agriculture is the most fantastic industry in terms of the range of careers that you can get, and that if people in the industry are so supportive. So, and I think our speakers today really emphasised that, and the fact that they've all come on to share their knowledge with us has just been great. So just flicking back to the beginning, going back to Hilary from Home Sacekt, wasn't that a great outline of the salaries? Where else do you find that type of information, the actual up-to-date figures on what you can expect in entering agriculture? So I just want to give a great big thank you to Home Sacekt for being supportive of us and making that information available. I loved her little bit of her suggestion about finding an employer and being prepared to ask the employer about what they will do to help you advance your career. Quite often when you're young and you're going for an interview, you feel like you're going cap in hand, and that is partly true, but also remember that you have got skills, and in agriculture we are really short on people with talent and passion to come into our industry. So they want you as well, so be prepared to ask those questions. And then beautifully followed up by Kath and Kate and Travis from AACO. Didn't you feel at the end of that you would want to work for AACO? It looked like it was just full of interesting jobs, and it was that you could start at any point and you would be supportive in moving up through different positions of increasing responsibility and being able to move into managerial positions. The big takeaway, I thought, from AACO was the fact that they see it as a career, not a job. Okay, so that and the fact that there was both Kate and Travis were talking about the great life within AACO for a young person, in that you're mixing in with a lot of other young people who are like-minded. They're all passionate about agriculture. So you can start as a jackaroo or jillaroo, station hand, or you can start as a graduate and move up, whatever level you want to come in at. So we went right from northern cattle to horticulture. And we would think that that's two very different areas of agriculture. But Fiona Costa gave us, again, a great insight into the huge range of jobs, the fact that you know, you can go right from growing the tomatoes right through to being involved in the marketing, the logistics, and all of the bits in between. One of the things that I thought was very interesting there, I thought it was really impressive that Costa are offering that $10,000 employee scholarship. Yeah. What better indicator of a great employer than someone who's prepared to invest hard, cold cash into their employees? And I thought Fiona summed it up well when she said they've got a for people first culture. So thank you for that, Fiona, as well. And Ben's enthusiasm from Career Harvest was infectious. We've got now a great set of resources to go and dig around in. The video he showed of the Wagyu cattle operations was just, again, integrated, so you could be going from South Australia through to Japan. I particularly like the idea of sitting up the pointy end of the plane on a trip to Japan. So if you really want a job that can take you anywhere in the world, I think the message from Ben was that agriculture is what it can do. Simone came in as the traineeship coordinator for elders, and but showed a wide range of careers at different levels. It was great to really get a little bit of an insight into the stock and station agent traineeship level, because the people who are stock and station agents are really working alongside farmers. So much of their world is not so much about producing, but about taking it from that next step. So they're servicing farmers' needs, and that's a really fascinating area where you get an opportunity to work with a larger number of farmers. I did take on board from Simone that for the eldest traineeships, or the stock and station agent traineeships, that they'd like to see people who have left home for a little while, because you'll have made the break from home and be comfortable moving around a bit. And secondly, that you have got yourself some experience in farming. So if you are coming from a city or town based and haven't had an opportunity to get into agriculture, then I like the fact that if you apply to them and they want you to get more experience, they will help refer you to somewhere where you can go and get it and then return back to them maybe after that period in getting the experience. She had a little bit of advice on resumes, which I thought was really practical. To be clear and concise. I get the message from Simone that she's not looking for a long resume, but she wants you to say things clearly and quite concisely. And importantly, to add an attention-grabbing cover letter. So as an employer, they get resumes coming through to them regularly. What they really want to know is that you're passionate about agriculture and that what you're after is to get started, and this will be your career. You're not just after a job. So I think that we've been really honoured by the depth of knowledge that our presenters have shared with us today. And again, as I say, it makes me really proud to be part of agriculture and to actually draw on their passion and enthusiasm for it. So I know that out there we've got a lot of people who are listening or who are either looking to get into agriculture or are talking to a group of younger people who want to do so. So all I can say is it's a great industry. It's one that, you know, I couldn't imagine having done anything else for all the years that I've been working. Our training didn't even get a mention as a potential career in agriculture, but if you are interested in teaching or training, there's always a shortage of ag teachers and ag trainers as well. So there's a whole nother area that we haven't even touched on today. So thank you very much, Grant, and I'll finish up there.
Thank you, Kathy. If anyone has any further questions for Kathy, send them through on the chat box. You may notice down the bottom there that Mel has put a link to a Survey Monkey. We're really keen to get some feedback from all of the participants today so that we can have a look at how we're delivering this online careers information session to you guys and how we can make it better for the future to meet your needs or your demands, or if there's any particular information you thought might have been missing or anything you'd like to see in future years. We are more than happy to take that on board. We're really keen to get that feedback. I might move towards sort of closing the session now if there's no further questions. It has been a real honour for us to be able to provide an opportunity for the presenters today to deliver the information through to the participants. Agriculture in Australia, and I think the indication from our presenters is that the agricultural organisations and businesses will look after their own, and they will provide opportunities and pathways for people that want to move into the agricultural industry or currently in there and are looking for further pathways and opportunities. It is a matter of taking that next step yourself, and hopefully by providing that information, we can provide that opportunity and information for you.
Bye, everyone.
All right, thank you.